Hey, it's Zax from Ready Check Pull, and I'm here to tell you about what's going on with Affliction Warlock in Shadowlands. I'll go over the biggest changes from BFA, and then let you know how I think the spec is going to play out overall. Affliction got the single most interesting change of all specs in Shadowlands, and it's not even close. Blizzard actually managed to create an elegant solution to a lot of the problems Affliction has had for a while, so let's get straight into it. Malefic Rapture. A new baseline ability. It spends the soul shard to do damage to every target you have a dot on, and the damage to each target is increased for every dot you have on them. So let's say you load up one target with 5 dots, it'll hit that target for 5 times the base damage of the ability. And if you put, let's say, 2 dots on 5 targets, it'll hit all 5 targets for 2 times the base damage. Hopefully that makes sense, but basically this button becomes your main spender in single target and multi-target situations, probably being your top damage in both. It's crazy. And I love it because it still encourages you to dot things up, the Affliction identity, but then you can get big instant damage from your dots. This doesn't make AF a straight up burst spec, of course, but now it at least has the capability to burst. And the ramp up time isn't too long either. This single-handedly covers a huge weakness the spec had in BFA, and it's honestly kind of wild to me that Blizzard found such an elegant solution. Anyway, I could talk about this ability for the entire video, but there were actually some other changes too. So with Malefic Rapture now being your main soul shard spender, Unstable Affliction had to get changed. It's now a longer, free, super strong dot that you can only have on one target. So it's kind of like your priority target dot. I'm glad the ability didn't just disappear altogether, and I actually like the role it fills now, because without it, AF doesn't really have a great way to prioritize one target in an AoE situation. The only other way to prioritize damage is through a new passive that was a talent in BFA called Shadow Embrace. It causes your Shadow Bolt to apply a short damage taken increase, and it stacks up to 3 times for a total of a 9% increase to all your damage to the target. Just something extra to keep track of, and it helps Shadow Bolt feel more impactful. I'm cool with it, but it only lasts 12 seconds, so I just want the duration to be a little longer so it doesn't just fall off randomly. And if I'm honest, I'd rather them just find a better way for Shadow Bolt to be more impactful. Those 3 things were the biggest changes for Affliction specifically, but I figure I'd also mention the biggest thing that got changed for the Warlock class as a whole, which is that curses have been unpruned. You can only put one of your curses on a target, but you can choose from Curse of Exhaustion, which is a slow for 8 seconds, Curse of Tongues, which slows casting speed for 30 seconds, Curse of Weakness, which slows attack speed for 2 minutes, and the craziest one, Curse of Recklessness, which increases physical damage done and physical damage taken for 2 minutes. The damage taken increase is 5%, which is equal to the Monk class debuff. Yeah, I don't know who decided to effectively give Warlock a class buff, but I don't think they really needed it. For what it's worth, you do have to deal with the trade-off of the target doing 10% more physical damage. Seems super worth it to me, but I kind of have a feeling this whole ability will change, so I guess we'll see what happens. With those big changes, the baseline single target rotation generally boils down to maintaining 3 dots, Unstable Affliction, Agony, and Corruption, maintaining 3 stacks of the Shadow Embrace passive by casting Shadow Bolt, and spending your soul shards on Malefic Rapture when you have all your dots going. The baseline AoE rotation only changes a little bit, just maintaining your dots on all targets that will live for several seconds, using Seed of Corruption to apply Corruption when there are several stacked targets, and not really worrying about maintaining the Shadow Embrace passive quite as much as in single target. Affliction seems like it's going to be insane in Shadowlands. This Malefic Rapture ability is just too good. It's definitely going to make Affliction more viable in Mythic Plus than it was in BFA by giving it access to some actual burst damage. But something I haven't really heard other people talk about, Malefic Rapture is the only resource spender in the game that hits multiple targets even if they are spread out. Starfall from Balanced Druids is the only comparable ability, but it's amazing now for the same reason. This means Affliction will just be even more insane than it already was in spread multi-dot situations, which Blizzard just seems to love putting in raids. I have a strong feeling they're going to make it so Malefic Rapture's additional damage per dot has diminishing returns or something like that to try to cap the AoE it can put out. There are a few little things that I'd want changed with Affliction, mostly stuff I've already mentioned, but the one thing that still doesn't feel quite right to me is its big cooldown, Summon Dark Glare. It extends your dots and does damage to a single target. This feels super unimpactful with the way the spec plays now that I think Blizzard might have just forgotten to change it. If it generated soul shards or also did AoE damage somehow, it would be in a much better place. I'm excited to see what the Covenant abilities, legendaries, and soulbinds bring to the table for Affliction. Either way, I think the spec is going to be a monster this expansion and definitely more fun than in BFA. If you like this little review, give us a like, and feel free to check out any of the other specs I cover. And let me know in the comments or in our Discord which specs you want to know about next. Also, if you like what we do here, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It helps more than you know. Links to everything in the description. See you next time.